So, speaking of intuition and that inner voice, how do we know the difference between that and values, our own beliefs and dreams?
I've heard the line a long time ago, when your values are clear, your decisions are easy. So I like to play in that. So if your values are clear, then you say, okay, that voice and that intuition, right? So or when you have this intuitive moment, or when you hear this voice at any given time, is it in line with your value? That's the question I think you got to ask yourself. And I think if it is, then that's a good thing. If it's not, just maybe it's a test, or maybe it's the bad voice trying to get you to do something that's not you.
Right.
You got to know what your values are, and if you know what your values are, then you know if it's in alignment or not in alignment.
What inspired you to become a speaker and then an author?
I got a long story on that one.
Yeah.
So what happened was I finished college in 1990, and I was done writing papers for college. I was done reading. I didn't want any part of that. And I walked into the office one day. I became a stockbroker at the time. And I walked in the office one day, and a guy next to me in his cubicle lay a book. It was called The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. And I never sold anything in my life. And I'm like, I need to read that book. So I asked the gentleman if I could borrow the book. I took it home that night, read the whole thing, and the trajectory of my life changed that night. And I read every one of Og Mandino's books from that point forward. And he talked about, in his second book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, Part 2, he talked about how in the story that the guy, he's the richest, one of the richest guys in the world, and he's got all this money. And then he talks about having to give it away, and how is he going to give it away? And he talks about talking to people and becoming a great orator. And I'm like, it was resonating with me. And I'm like, I think I would love to do that one day. I would love to be an ultimate philanthropist. I would love to be able to give and give and give and help people in ways that you can't, or you don't think you can. I've read, since that day, I've read probably about 900 books. And I believe we all have a book inside of us. And I'm like, I really feel called and compelled to help people be the best they can be. And I'm like, I've read enough of these books. I can write one of these books. It was in 2001 when I wrote it down. It was like a dream or a thought. In 2005, I made it a goal, and I didn't think I was good enough. I wrote one chapter in 05. I wrote one chapter in 09. I wrote 2 chapters in 14. And all the while, I'm like, who's going to listen to my stuff? Who's going to read my stuff? Who am I to think I'm good enough to share this with? Until it was 2017 when I committed, because I guess I had the confidence, and I felt that I had enough knowledge, and I felt the spirit talking to me. And I'm like, if this is what I'm supposed to do, let's go do it.